daily driver?
Either a Porsche GT3 or a GMC 3500 diesel.
Okay, that's a stark contrast there.
It could not be starker.
It's a tough comparison then coming out of a GT3.
It's a 2019. I mean, it handles great. It's so precise, and it's a fun car to drive. But
the PDK or still?
No, I got the 6-speed.
Nice.
And I like it a lot. But this is just a fun car to drive.
Yeah.
With the torque that it has, and kind of the driving sensation to me is what makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, we used to be able to say these things would out-handle Porsches, but then the GT3 and the technology really got up there, so it's come a long way.
That's a steep challenge.
It's a bold statement there.
But the low RPM torque that these have, I mean, they just feel like they're fun cars to drive.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for. And when I first came in to meet with you a couple of years ago, that's what I wanted to do, was make this car drive as well as it looked, because it looked nice, but I just wasn't happy with the bolt-on things. And so it's been when I started, it's been about a year process to get it done, and now I'm finally taking it home today, so that's pretty cool.
Did you put all the bolt-on stuff on it?
No.
Or you bought the car
It was
like
it was the way we bought it, but I brought it to a place, and some of the parts weren't the right ones, so that they upgraded them. But it just never ended up handling the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up asking some friends, and they said if it was my money, I'd go to the Roadster Shop. So I said,
good. Those are good friends.
Yeah, that's
I'll
right.
have to send them some T-shirts.
That was the goal, was to make the car drive as well as it looked. And the trip that we did a month or so ago to Columbus was my first time driving the car, and I just thought it was great.
Yeah, the way the car came in, I mean, that was kind of almost like the recipe that you always see. Big block Chevy, some sort of power adder, and then all the bolt-on suspension.
Right.
And it's funny, I was talking about it because I got in the car to drive it initially, and I knew nothing about it. I tried to drive them before we take them apart. So I didn't look underneath it, and I didn't look under the hood. I could hear it had a supercharger whine on it, but it was not great in the ride quality and handling department.
And it handled poorly, and it would overheat because it was the old big block with a carbureted supercharged engine, and it's just hard to make all that stuff work well. So the trip that we took out to Columbus, I mean, my face hurt from smiling so much, so it was good.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, is being able to get out and actually use them like that, road trip them.
Let's see.
So you've got the blip shift on now?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I think I like it, partly because it just blips the throttle enough so that you don't have kind of the surge, as the weight of the car is, accelerating the engine when you downshift. I don't like that. And blipping the throttle, you kind of feel like a junior racer. So
if you're just manually doing it, it's a rookie move.
Yeah, so I didn't want to do that.
And you've got some track experience, don't you? You've done some road racing stuff over the years.
I used to race IMSA and Grand Am, and just had a blast doing it, or as my wife said, turning money into noise.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is. The last 2 years I raced, Jack Roush Jr. was my co-driver, which made it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But it just, then the recession in 08, 09 happened, and it was just time, it had run its course, it was time to move on. But I do like a good handling car.
Yeah.
And this, with the manual brakes, I like the feel of the brakes that this car has. I mean, just the driving of it, everything feels tighter, but also compliant. So the suspension soaks up the bumps, but it also feels planted.
Yeah.
And from a power point of view, I wanted the car to have enough power to be fun without being overpowered, because it's kind of like a cheap thrill. Or not, actually it's not cheap, but it's more like...
It's a thrill.
It is. But the car isn't really balanced, and that's what I like, is the car to feel balanced.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about those LT4s. It's the sweet spot of horsepower, because you said it best. It's not too much. It's because you can get carried away pretty quick. It's right there, where it's enough power to have fun, but controllable power.
Right. And I mean, it's got...
Got enough that it'll break the tires loose.
Yeah, in second
30,
gear,
40.
and that wasn't forward. I don't want to do anything stupid, but it's. That's what I feel like. If it just does that, that's enough.
Yeah.
Just light them up a little bit when you're leaving something. I think that's kind of cool.
I think so.
It never fails to put a smile on my face. So
it's good. Yeah, I'm a believer in the manual brakes too, and it's on a 6-speed car because you feel so much more connected to the car.
Yeah.
You know, you're driving the car, and I love getting in these cars when you're getting out of like a modern day sports car where everything feels so like automatic. You don't feel like you're the one controlling the car. Right. So you get in this, and it's really a driver's car.
And that's exactly what I wanted, was a driver's car, something that would be fun to, you know, on a day, nice temperature like today, to get in it and just drive around and have fun. And the blip shift thing, I think that's fun. I'm not sure I'm going to play with the full throttle upshifts.
Yeah, the full throttle upshift's probably not really necessary. You know, you feel guilty doing it. We did it to test it, to sort it all out, and it's actually not violent, I'll say that, but it's not something you feel like you want to be doing.
My attorney is famous for that. He'll when I give him this great idea and he looks at me and he says, what could possibly go wrong? Well, full throttle upshifts, you know, I
suppose on a track with a sequential, you know, it's got its place.
It does, but somehow, you know, if that doesn't work, you'd put pistons in orbit, and I just can't see doing that. But the blip downshift, I thought that was cool, and even the Cerakoting of the engine, because it's a muscle car, it ought to have an interesting looking engine, and I know that the hoses and sensors and things, they do important things, but I didn't really want to look at them.
Yeah, I was excited that was the route you wanted to go on that, because the LT4 is a phenomenal motor, and it does everything good except the way it looks.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of an amazing packaging job that they do with it to begin with, that they can get all of that stuff in a small space and lightweight, but I just didn't want to see that. I wanted to see, because I like you pop the hood on a muscle car and you want to see a cool motor.
Yeah, I think that accomplished that quite well. It's the initial like idea or thinking about it's like, how do you make the car is so classic, the style, the 5-spoke wheels, and everything just looks so cool. To be able to take that LT4 and make it look appropriate without doing the kind of like, the thing to do now is make it look old, like try to disguise it to look like something it's not. So without disguising it to look like something it's not, I think it came together and looks pretty neat.
I do too, and I wasn't sure how it would look, and the machining the supercharger cover and then the valve covers looked like the old Mickey Thompson or something. So a lot of those touches just, you know, you don't know what it's going to look like until you see it, and it turned out better than I thought it would.
Good.
So I was happy.
It's always good when we can exceed expectations.
Well, you know, you are kind of famous for that. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to a nice drive, you know, the next couple of days, driving 700, well, it's about 800 miles back to Virginia. So it'll be a nice drive to kind of check everything out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that should be, I mean, granted it's not the shakedown run, we've been to Columbus and back, but that'll be a great cruise.
Yeah. And I mean, the car just feels so planted and comfortable. Before, with the old suspension going around corners, you know, you forget you remember how the old cars looked, you forget how they drove and handled. And it was kind of unnerving, you know, you hit a pothole or a bump that would unsettle the chassis, and it was not a happy feeling. And the brakes, you know, and I bought the car, it had a supercharged 427 big block with drum brakes. So I joked it had a lot of go and not a lot of whoa, and that was not a good combination. And now, I mean, this car's got great brakes.
Yeah, I think it's the right components. This is just such a good package between the fast track chassis, the LT4, the 6-speed, those 6-piston brakes. It's a pretty good setup. You got good taste.
John was very helpful, giving me suggestions on, you know, we could go this way, we could go that way during the build. So that was really nice. And then meeting some of the guys on the Columbus trip that actually built it. I mean, they're really like car guys, and they just wanted to know that I really enjoyed the way the car drove and handled. So it was neat to meet the people that have a passion for what they're doing like that. That's hard I think it would be hard to find, to get people that are good and have a passion for it.
It's very difficult to find. It's a heck of a good crew. I mean, even Steve, who did the whole interior, that's something that he brought to the table. That's an amazing skill set that we never had access to before. So yeah, the company really is, it's just all about the talent, all about the people. That I think they share the same vision and drive as me. It's delivering the car and having somebody happy with it, and getting that feedback is what they're after. That's what I'm after. It's fun to build them, you know, and be creative, but trying to build things for somebody to enjoy. So,
well, that was, you know, that's what I wanted to do. Is I just love driving cars, and the new cars, they are better. And like I told you, that one of the daily drivers is a new GT3 Porsche. It's a great car, but it just wants to go to where it's sort of a license threatening kind of a car. You know, the faster you go, the better it feels.
Yeah.
And this car is just kind of like a cool cruiser, yet it handles good, has great brakes, good power.
It's
got a good stereo.
It's easier to use a little restraint, I feel like, in this car than the Porsche.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, it's a great car being a passenger, and it's the first time I've ridden in this seat. And man, it's a good touring car. I mean, I could see sitting in this car for 8 hours cruising back there, you know.
We leave in a little bit.
Nice. I might tag along.
Yeah, so it's been a fun process, you know, working with you guys over the last year and a half, and I'm out of garage space. Otherwise, you've got some cool. You got some those trucks are the Legend trucks. I think those are pretty cool. Something else has to go, and I'm not sure what that would be.
Well, what's your clear height? Can we go up? Can we put a lift in there? We got enough space.
Yeah. And you know, that's one thing that's nice is the Porsche is nice and light. That would be the car that goes up on the lift. This car is going to be down because I want this to be the car that's ready to go when I'm ready to go.